This is a video on how to set up and configure the Millimar C1202. This video is going to go over system components and setting up a size with an air plug and a ring gauge. In our next video, we'll talk a little bit about how to use it. The first part of our system, the first part of our hardware is a mist collector and a pressure regulator. This has been factory set for 30.4 psi, and we have confirmed that. If you want to add like a back mount pressure gauge to this port, you can monitor that pressure while the system is running. On this side, you have a quarter NPT fitting, and you can put whatever arrangement you have in your shop on here. Out on the output side, there's an M8 push-to-connect fitting with 8mm metric tubing that connects to the back of the box via the swivel fitting. Also on the back of the box, we have our power setting. This is a foot switch port if you want to actuate data collection with a foot switch. We also have a port for data cables, a data cable, and another port for a memory card that is included with this unit. This portion here is modular for the probes you bought. It could just as easily have a different unit there for use with LVDTs or some other type of gauging. Okay. The black cable coming out the back is what connects to your air plugs. This is the other end. This style of connection is meant to seal the air with a face seal. You should not use any thread sealant or pipe tape. It is not necessary. It is discouraged to use. When assembling a plug onto the hose, you want to make sure obviously that the air is off. And down in the hole of each air plug is an O-ring that creates that face seal. So all you have to do is thread the plug on. And the hex, the face of the hex will bottom out against the face of the air plug. You don't need to tighten it. You don't over tighten it. You can put a light amount of wrench pressure and hand tension on it, but don't overdo it. Most of the plugs are direct connect of this style, and then you would take this and go to your part and do your gauging. There is another style of plug This style of plug is a little different. It's a larger frame, and it has a handle, and it has kind of an extension tube, so that when you go to connect it, you can connect it right there. And again, just hand tight is fine. It's going to make that seal, and you don't need to worry about it. We're going to go with the small probe just for the purpose of our demonstration. Okay. And obviously you've purchased corresponding masters for each plug size. The unit has a color screen, and it has a variety of functions that we're going to run through. For a full explanation of all the functions that this unit has, we've included, there's a quick start guide as well as a more complete manual that will detail this, what those functions are and how to use them. This display is set up for a number of ways. Before we talk about the display itself, we're going to go into the settings and talk about what you need to do when setting up a size. These soft keys actuate the icons in the lower of the screen here. And it is important to note that depending on what screen you are, these buttons will change their function. So just keep an eye on down here and select the appropriate button. They don't always stay the same. This gets us to our setup, and we have a number of screens here to go through. The first one is called the feature screen. and that's where you're going to set up your size information for the plug that you're working with. We're going to go through that in a minute. I'm going to run through the different tabs. So there's 4 tabs here. The next tab is display. You can change the brightness. There's a screensaver that turns on after 5 minutes. You can adjust that as well. But probably the most important thing that you're going to use here is this graph settings. And after we set up a plug, we're going to go through what the different ones look like. But you can set up different graphs for your data. Moving on to the next menu, this is the setup menu. And this deals with, are you using inches or metric? If you're doing something with angles, which we are not, you could change that. It also allows you to set up the number of masters if you're using a single master or a dual master, like a min-max master. You can change that setting here. You can also do a master reset. If you set something wrong and it's not working, you can try to just do like a factory reset of all the settings back to normal and start fresh. The final is system. For the plugs you purchased, absolute mode is the mode you want to go with. If you do want to set up a menu interlock, so let's say you set it up for a certain size and you want the ability to lock out any changes, the manual will tell you more about how to use the menu interlock. You can turn that on and set a password or something to protect the settings inside. You can also change the language if you need to. And then I should also point out, if you get this icon here in the lower right that looks like multiple pages, that's what that means. There are multiple pages to this System 1. So if I push this, I come to the next set of functions. And again, and I come back to the first set of functions. So that is present in a couple menus. The Setup Menu 1 has some pages. If you're going to use a foot switch, you can turn that on and off. Different functions here. So we're going to come back in our next video and talk about how to set up an air plug.